Craziest supercar police chases caught on camera. Being a police officer comes with a lot of tasks, including chasing and catching the bad guy. However, that would be a tough job for any officer if the bad guy has a supercar. In this video, we would be looking at the craziest supercar chases police has ever made that was caught on camera. However, just before we proceed, kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now that you have subscribed, wear your seatbelt and let's dive right in. 1 Mustang. Just like most police officer, this young officer must have been at a stop just patrolling the entire neighborhood when another officer not far away called for help. Well, as noble as this officer was, he would soon find out in a moment that he just couldn't help the said officer. Just as the officer was describing what he was after, we could not help but notice the car he mentioned, a white Mustang. Certainly, when a car like a Mustang flouts traffic rule, it is then best to pursue the car with another Mustang, rather than just embarking on the pursuit with a simple police car. Just as if the Mustang owner has been waiting for the officer to arrive, he took off. That seemed more or less like an open challenge to the officer. It was as if Mustang owner was yelling aloud, "Catch me if you can!" Well, now that the race is up, will it be an easy catch for the officer? Let's keep our fingers crossed. And as if to show the never back down mentality, our gallant officer too the challenge while switching on his siren. This looks like it will be a hit pursue. Team Mustang v Team Police. Who do you think will win this race? Let sis know in the comments section. Just as the officer intensified his speed, it seems instead that every taillight that he thought belonged to the Mustang did in fact belong to another car. At this point, it might be very hard catching this bad guy. While we know that the car pursued is a white Mustang, thus it should be easy for the police officer to catch a white Mustang in the middle of the night. However, it seems the harder the officer steps down on his gas pedal, the harder it is for him to locate the white Mustang. Well, at this point it seems this officer is better off stopping his pursuit and head back to the office. If the officer is finding it hard to even see the tail light of the car he is pursuing, then it is best to assume he has been driving blind all these while. Take heart, officer. Maybe soon enough, the state will provide the police force with faster and tougher cars. Dodge Charger. For most police officers, perhaps the only time they are uncomfortable with doing their jobs is at nights. This could be because since it is dark, it marks it pretty hard to apprehend the bad guys. Well, that was the fate of this young officer. As we can see that during his night patrol, the whole night seemed quiet. Well, knowing fully well that most crimes take place at night, thus night would like a mini holiday for the young officer. And just when we thought that all the bad guys were taking a break, this Dodger out of nowhere breaks a traffic rule. That would definitely wake this poor officer from the break he was enjoying. Just as the officer's car engine roared to life, we crossed our fingers hoping he finally apprehends the bad guy. Just as if it were a dream, the bad guy's car just disappeared into the thin air. We mean, not only is the Dodger faster than the police vehicle, the bad guy also added a twist to the whole pursuit. So as soon as the bad guy noticed he was being pursued, he simply killed his taillight, making it easy for him to hide in plain sight without being caught. Just as the officer kept on narrating to his operator on the phone, we could not help but imagine whether the officer was just merely wasting his time, going through the entire city. Just as the officer kept on narrating to his operator on the phone, we could not help but imagine whether the officer was just merely wasting his time, going through the entire city. It is at this point that the police officers should maybe demand from the mayor that they should be provided with better and faster cars. We know how troubling it is that an officer of the law could not catch a bad guy because the bad guy was driving a better car. Perhaps after several twists and turns without the bad guy in sight, thus officer realized his mistake and advised himself. We all knew it was a bad idea to go after a car whose color is black at night. Also, not only is the car color blacks, making the bad guy able to maneuver, the car too is very fast. Take heart, officer. Hopefully, you would get a better car soon enough. Twin turbo. It is not often that we see police officer in a gas station trying to fill their tanks. Well, as if this officer knew this night might be a bit tough, he decided to fill his tank to the brim. We just hope that he would catch at least one bad guy before his shift is over in the morning. Truly, some bad guys have the confidence of a lion. We mean, how exactly would this driver in front of the officer know that a police car was at his back and yet did this? Perhaps the bad guy just got his fast car not long ago and was looking for ways to try the speed of the car. Well, if that was his intention for beating a traffic light right in front of a police officer, then he should be arrested. Also, if arrested, if there is a law like disrespecting an officer by committing a crime in his presence, he should be charged for that. Well, let's see how it all unfolds. At this point, it is safe to assume that this bad guy knew what he was doing, as we can see how he first waited for the police officer to switch on his siren, and as soon as the officer did that, in a couple of seconds, he sped off like he saw a ghost. Is this a fair fight for this poor police officer? Please let us know in the comments section. Well, this police officer looks brave and certainly not the type to back down from a challenge like this, so he took the bull by the horn. Well, it appears that no matter how much the officer matches the gas pedal, the distance between him and the bad guy kept on widening. This is a tough battle for this officer, and it looks like he will not be winning this kind of battle where obviously the odds are against him. Now might not be a bad time to call his colleagues or the cavalry for help. Also, his colleagues should come with a better car if they want a chance at catching this bad guy, otherwise this guy would go scot-free. As the officer kept on flooring his gas pedal, the bad guy was not slowing down either. Not even the loud siren noise of the police officer could stop this guy from going at a top speed. Perhaps it is moments like this that this officer would be wishing if he had an assistance from the helicopters guys like it used to be in the 90s. That would have made the job of this poor officer easier, but unfortunately, no helicopter is flying above him to help in catching the bad guy. Take heart, officer. Having realized that he has clearly lost the bad guy, the officer considers driving more slowly. There is no point again since the bad guy with an amazing car has disappeared into the thin air. However, maybe the only saving grace for the officer would be if he captured the plate number of the bad guy. That would be helpful in locating him and press charges against him. If, on the other hand, the bad guy was using a fake plate number, then he has just pulled a fast one over this hard-working police officer. Charger. When a car as fast as this is stopped, it is surprising that the owner decides to stop. We mean, the car is a Dodge Charger for crying out loud, and on any day, it can run as fast as a beast. This young man must be a responsible citizen then for stopping when he was stopped. Well, I think we should withdraw our praises seeing what this man just did right here. So clearly, he wanted to take off when the officer least expected it. Definitely, the officer did not see that coming. Well, and just like that, the race of the century started. Clearly, the officer could still be seen gaining over the bad guy. Thus could be either the bad guy doesn't know the machine he is controlling, or he is too intoxicated to take the officer for a ride. Well, seeing that it was pretty hard to catch a bad guy in a Dodge, the officer recruits the assistance of his colleague positioned elsewhere to use another means at stopping the bad guy. Well, after what seemed like an eternity, the bad guy was finally arrested. That was a nice work by the police officer. Also, all thanks to this brave officer and his other colleagues who all collaborated and finally brought the bad guy to justice. Nice work, officers. What are Thai thoughts on police officers using a slow car to pursue bad guys in fast and crazy cars? Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Well, if you got to the end of the video, make sure to hit the subscribe button, like, share, and turn on the post notification button so you don't miss any of our videos. Thanks for watching.